What's going on, everybody? It's Childish. We're back at it again. We got ourselves the next TheoryCraft Thursday video for y'all today. Thank you all so much for tuning in. If you're new to the channel, welcome to the channel. The TheoryCraft Thursday series is a series that we started talking about the theories and thoughts on our community epic fail, some of the things that we talk about day in and day out in our epic fail evolution chat. I wanted to bring these kind of topics out to you guys in the Summoners World community so that you guys can come together in an effort to, provide the pros and cons of different topics, do a little bit of debating, and see what is the best way to go about it. As you guys know, taking the time to sit amongst back with your friends and really grind it out as far as learning what can be the best thing to do, what is optimal, for me has been one of the most exciting things when it comes to this game. So I wanted to go ahead and touch base on a couple of things that we talked about in addition to what, kind of has been, training when it comes to the community. So we'll start out with the community first. This is just, what is it? Not even a couple of days now. We've had the recent release of the two units, Heart Magician and the Dice Magician. And, out of all the units out there, there's been a lot of them that people are kind of talking about, kind of contemplating, see what might be good, what might be, not too good. And I think probably the number one unit when it comes to common units, right, not the light and dark units, when it comes to the wind, water, and fire units out there, as far as people that are talking about and seeing if they could be a viable replacement for some of their natural 4-star, AoE type monsters, has been Reno. Now, of course, you guys have seen this unit. We won't get into too much detail. Guys, 2 turns here, 2 skills is going to give you some kind of additional turn here if you get the lucky rolls, providing harmful effects. You got yourself AoEs, and then of course you got yourself the skill that's going to hit 4 times with that potential to have that ignore defense if you roll the same number as the previous number. So, when it comes to this type of unit, people are, the biggest question that people are asking, okay, when you rune this up, when you 6-star it, when you max it out, what are the numbers that we're kind of seeing here? So what I got in front of you today is a gentleman by the name of, I want to say it's Xandro, and I believe Pithos provided a little bit of insight on this one. This is some compilation of information that has been provided on Reddit as far as the damage multipliers go when it comes to both the Dice Magician and the Heart Magician. Now keep in mind that these values are on a per hit multiplier versus like a total percentage multiplier. So keep that in consideration because some of these skills hit for 2 times or 4 times or whatever. So when looking at the Dice Magician, people are trying to consider that, is it going to be Illusion, version 2? Or is it just going to be another water AoE unit? From what I have kind of gathered when it comes to the RNG factor of that 4 skill, whatnot, on a unit that is 6 stars with respectable runes, not max skill, it seems like people are looking anywhere in that, and when it comes to RNG on that ignore defense, people are looking anywhere in that range of like 500 to 600% damage multipliers. Now with the potential to literally hit multiple times when it comes to ignore defense, this unit really could put out some numbers, but the fact that it's so low, we're talking extremely low numbers as far as getting those same rolls and getting that chance to ignore. From what I've seen, each hit is hitting anywhere in that 4.5 to 6K range. Of course, it depends on your towers, your runes and whatnot. But just from what I've been gathering, what people have kind of been doing, the lowest range of damage that I'm seeing is right around that 20K AoE, and then with the potential to get up in there in that 30 to 35K range, depending on how lucky you get when it comes to the ignore defense. So when I think about that, and when I think about units like a Julie, right? Julie, for example, I think she's running like a 700 damage multiplier on that 3rd skill. I mean, if we're talking about trying to incorporate Reno in the mix, when it comes to like a like a wombo combo or something like that, I still feel like Julie's consistent damage on that 3rd skill, and then having the opportunity to get those 2 additional hits is still going to be a better choice. And I'll show that real quick here for those that are not familiar with Julie on the 3rd skill here. Hits generally 4 to 6 times, but will hit 6 times when the attack is with full HP, and her damage multipliers are pretty good in my humble opinion. So when it comes to consistent damage versus the potential to have some obscene damage when it comes to ignore, I don't know if I'll go that route. But again, This is another water-based unit that's bringing 2 AoEs to the mix and has a potential to keep on going because of its additional turn setups there when it comes to the first skill. I think it is unique enough to give it a try, but considering how early we are in the game, when it comes to this unit, the lack of base stats when it comes to attack comparison to other natural 4 counterparts, I'm not too thrilled about it. We still need, I think, a couple more people out there to max skill the second and third skill. I really see some potential so that we can, kind of get it all worked out. But as far as that go, guys, that's kind of my, brief overview on it for now. I'm looking forward to, hearing more feedback. I know we got a couple people within the guild that have pulled this unit. So, when they get the opportunity to max skill it out and get some high class runes on there so you guys can see the potential damage, we'll definitely, get that on the way. As of right now, I've seen some people put out some units with either poor runes or decent runes but no skill ups, so we really are not seeing the true potential of it until we get a decent video out. So I'll definitely keep you guys in tune for that. So again, big shout out to Xandro and Pithos of the Reddit community putting this information out for us. They got this within about 24 to 48 hours, and I believe Xandro updated it on his Rune Optimizer spreadsheet, so you guys can go ahead and check that out if you haven't already on reddit.com. Summoners War there, the Reddit. So next one I wanted to hit up, I think I want to talk about is the Rift of Worlds. So you guys saw last week, not even last week, a few days ago, we put out a Rift of World R5 video featuring the newly ruined unit Leica. Got a lot of great feedback on as far as the stats and whatnot. And how I'm trying to use it right. So for the majority of people out there, they're running, generally some type of composition that's bringing more or less, just to kind of just average it out, what more or less like 4, support type units, whether they're healers, cleansers, whatever, and then 2 damage dealers in the mix. Generally, sometimes one of them being, in the front line. With regards to their setup or whatnot. One of the most favorites out there is that Water Kung Fu Girl. But considering the fact that this unit had that change in the last skill, being able to counterattack, a 50% chance to counterattack, and it based on attack power, the value of, being fortunate enough to get some decent runes to keep yourself nice and tanky while maintaining that high attack power, critical rate, critical damage, to me has been pretty darn valuable when it comes to this. So one of the things that I wanted to talk about was regarding my recommendation. And my recommendation on there was pretty broad, and I kind of wanted to explain that, given the fact that you can go so many different routes. Now, in my video, I recommended attack, critical damage, HP, and the reason is that if you guys have seen, the early videos with regards to Rift of Worlds, we had that generalized thought process of, we need to have 1,500 defense and 25k HP for any frontline unit, and that's the way it needs to be, right? But if you've kind of paid attention to the trend when it comes to what people have offered, most notably, we got to put a shout out to Kazuto 111, talking about that advanced R5 DPS guide. He's kind of opened our eyes to a lot of other combinations. In addition, we've had a lot of people across the game, across servers, really, set the standard as far as the tons of different things you can do when it comes to the concept. The whole 1,500 defense, 25k at the HP is out the window. There's a lot of things that play in a role when it comes to it. Just the overall stats, your overall effective HP. You can get away with lower defense if you're running higher HP. You can play around with different combinations if you're running a 4-man frontline versus a 2-man frontline. There's a lot of things that can play a role in this. So, in my particular recommendation, I was recommending attack or damage HP. In that 30k range HP with about 1,000 defense, running a 4-man frontline. I feel that for people that have a decent amount of defense, it doesn't have to be up in the 1,500, but have a good amount of HP. And like for this kind of unit here, running the vampire set, you can kind of get away with not having the quote unquote 1,500 defense, 25k HP, so on and so forth. So, again, the HP recommendation kind of came off the line with regards to his base defense versus base HP. As you guys know, with regards to Leica, he's an exceptional damage dealing unit, but he has an absurd amount of base HP, not so much on the base defense. So depending on how your runes play out, you might get more value out of running that slot if you're going to run that attack crit damage and something else, whether it's defense or HP. There might, for me, there's a little bit more value out of the runes that I have going with the HP rune over the defensive rune, just for the fact that I get more value since his base HP is a little bit higher. Now, is one better than the other? I really think it depends on the unit. Let me put it this way. Like if I had the runes that lean towards, more defense, I think I can make an argument for going defense instead of HP, since I'm running a vampire set, right? Now, if I can manage to get pretty strong offensive stats with that, vampire set, before with the defensive rune of the vampire, I believe it'll work out pretty darn good because again, having that extra defense, you're going to be mitigating more damage, and because you're running the vampire set's going to be 35% of your damage, right? So having that lower HP pool and having a unit like this that has really exceptional multipliers, you're going to get a lot more value out of a unit that is running a lower HP pool with the higher defense, utilizing that vampire set, right? But on the flip side, it really all depends on the composition that you bring with it. If you think about it, right, we can run this attack, crit damage, defense type of a hybrid, unit, whatever, and get a lot of value out of the vampire set. But because of the fact we're running vampire set, we don't have the opportunity to stun out of it, right, and get lucky and do what we got to do. We're basically relying on us to do the damage that we could do, and if we get stunned, basically relying on our healers and cleansers to get us up there. So keep that in mind if you do play around with some vampire runes or units on a vampire set or whatnot. You definitely have to consider the fact that not only using percentage-based healers, but more importantly, flat HP healers, so that you can take advantage of units that are running high defense, with a lower HP pool. Flat HP healers are going to ignore the concept of your of the HP ratios or whatnot, and just going to give you a flat HP overall. So talking about this particular unit, right, I'm running the IHP because that's just how it works out with the runes. You guys have seen them before here. My HP substats overall are really, really strong. But when it comes to the defensive substats, they're there, but they're not too high. And even if they were decently high, you're not going to see much value out of it because of the low base defense. Now, let's take for example the water kung fu girl, and this is what I kind of want to get at. Like the water kung fu girl, is one of those units out there that people were or early on like they kind of thought about that mentality of so much X amount of defense, X amount of HP and whatnot. But depending on the unit, depending on its kit, depending on the damage multipliers, there's so many things that provide a reason for you to play around with your runes and see what you can get away with, especially if you're a person that likes to utilize a higher amount of units on the front line. So for me, my personal experience, I ran a Xiaolin with about 23k HP, about 1100 defense, and I realized that I wanted to figure out a way to play around with some of my units, so most notably get like on a vampire set so I could play around with it. So I went back and forth with testing so that I can make the effort to get her more or less with the amount of attack power, critical damage, defense that I have, so that when she does her damage, she's still, healing herself for a good chunk of her HP pool, while maintaining a good amount of high defense. And again, combining her with a flat HP healer so that if she gets in trouble and she doesn't have an opportunity to get herself healed, I have that backup plan. But like I said, this is one of those units out there that I really feel you can bend the rules when it comes to recommended stats, because not only because of its high base defense, but because of its third skill, that water dragon attack, and being able to get that counterattack, right? With the Rift of Worlds boss hitting multiple times, so many different times, it gives you the opportunity to proc that 25% chance and then chain. And of course, you guys know what it is, right? You've seen it time and time again why this unit is so good. Now, I want to go ahead and, since mine is not a true example of what I'm talking about, I want to go ahead and showcase one of my guildies here, Topa V. He is a member of the Epic Fail Alpha crew. He is basically kind of showcases a great example of what I'm talking about. And if you guys have seen some of the top players out there, you know they're running something similar of the sort. Here we go. So when we look at this unit, you know, flat out, we're like, wow, okay, you know, 16k HP and whatnot. There's just no way this unit could be on the front line. But because of the fact that he has a really good amount of defense, I mean, he's pushing 1300 defense. You know, he can get away with the lower base HP pool, considering the fact that he's using Vampire, and considering the fact that the damage multipliers on his skills, the amount of attack power, critical damage he's bringing, is second to none. It's extremely strong, right? And not only that, you know, to top it all off here, he's bringing a composition that allows him to get value out of a unit running a high amount of defense. So he's bringing a unit that's going to provide him that high, that flat HP pool like a Jasun or whatnot. So, you know, keeping that in mind, guys, I strongly encourage you to play around with your runes. As you guys know, we got Rune removal day coming up here in 48 hours of this video being posted. So this is going to give you guys a great opportunity to really mix and match your runes and different compositions so that you can see if you can get a little bit of value out of this and play around with a composition that may allow you to incorporate more DPS into your R5 team so that if you have that consistent clear on lockdown, you can continuously work on that, you know, 2 to 2.5 minute run. I mean, that's kind of the goal for, I think, most compositions out there. You know, 3 is a nice safe bet, a good average, but if you can hit that consistent 2-minute run, 2 to 2.5 minute, but I say 2-minute run, you definitely are in it with, you know, with the top of the players out there that are bringing it to the mix. So that's pretty much all I got for the Water Kung Fu Girl. Last topic I want to hit up is the live PvP. And I wanted to go ahead and bring a unit, talk about a unit that is one of those units that gets overlooked, but I feel like it's something that allows us to kind of think outside the box. As you guys know, I did a underrated and overlooked video. We brought the underrated and overlooked series a couple of months ago when they first started talking about the live PvP. We brought a couple of the units out there, but it went away, so we really couldn't talk about it. So I wanted to take the time on this TheoryCraft Thursday video to talk about a unit that I feel belongs to that mix and has been tested out with a couple of our guildies and has done, you know, exceptionally well. So I want to give a shout out to, well, let's go ahead and take a look at the unit, and then we'll give a shout out real quick. If I can pull it up here, where are we at? Here we go. So I know what you guys are thinking. You guys are like, oh my god, this unit can't be in the mix, but we got to take a look at this unit. Yes, do you guys remember that fake 5 that I pulled when I was down in Cali hanging out with Nightly Gaming? This is the one. And like I said, I was really kind of upset initially when I first pulled it out, but maybe it was done for a reason, okay? So let's take a look at this kit, right? When we're thinking about the liches, the only ones that we really think about is the Water, Wind, and Dark one. These are clutch units out there, not just for the Guild Wars. You know, Necropolis, I've seen even people utilize it in the Rift of Worlds for a little bit, but you know, most notably Necropolis, as it comes with that slow and defense break out there. Because of that fact, the Antares, the Fire Lich, gets way overlooked. Now, let's go over its skill set real quick. Okay, Soul Summoning, similar to the Fire Liches, to the other Liches out there, hitting 2 to 3 times. Second skill, inflicts damage to all enemies and consumes and recovers a little bit of the HP. And so, in addition to that, you absorb the enemy's attack bar by 50% with a 50% chance for each attack. So you have a way of taking their attack bar, gaining some, you know, getting yourself that additional turn. Okay. Last but not least, the skill that's kind of the bread and butter of this unit gains in a turn with a 50% chance whenever the enemy turns ends. Okay. This is only a 50% chance, but the fact that it resets your turn, gives you a turn, plays a valuable role. Now, the reason why I bring that up is because this skill right here, reusable in 4 turns. When it's maxed out, it's reusable in 3 runs. So what that means is having a unit that is going to have a way of gaining extra turns, reducing its cooldown times, not on a violent set, is pretty unique. And it's something that we shouldn't be overlooking. Okay, and the reason why I say that is because when it comes to units like this that can bring something to the mix, and has a way of generating turns and getting additional AoE turns, we gotta kind of think outside the box and go along with that set that's going to kind of work well with that violent aspect of this particular unit. You know what I'm saying? So when I think about the only set that kind of makes sense, that comes down to the spare set. So the spare set on this unit here, with regards to this with this skill set sinkhole, sure, depending on how you build it, you may not get a lot of DPS out. But when we're talking about a way of getting yourself that additional attack power, critical rate, you can get away with playing around with its runes so that you can not only make this unit a strong damage dealer, but also a relatively tanky unit. Okay, his base stats honestly are not too impressive in my humble opinion. However, like I said, when it comes to some of you late game and end game players that are looking for like a unique unit to mix up and really upset your those live PB competitions, the fact that you can interrupt them and they can't control it is a simple concept of RNG. I really like this unit played around with. And this is not something that I know that you guys are going to know exactly what I'm talking about when we come to, showcasing this unit and the rune build. There's actually quite a few people out there that I feel are kind of, on this kind of trend, utilizing a unit like this, because again, no matter how perfect you set up your team, throwing in these units that have that RNG kind of factor to them can really interrupt and upset your opponent. So as you guys might have guessed, let's give a quick shout out to the recent legend ranked player of the last week here with regards to Libby. Give a shout out to Foix, once again, former Educate and Dominate guest. And again, like I said, former legend rank player, currently holding the legend rank this week with regards to Lily, one of the hardest arena weeks to date. So what the Foix is definitely one of those guys that really comes at you with a creative mind. And he's definitely used that, kind of thought process when it comes to this unit here. So taking a look at this unit overall, he is running a Despair Revenge set. HP, crit damage, HP, okay. Trying to get as much HP as possible. Trying to find those attack substats there to get a little bit of attack rate to provide that damage. In addition, keep in mind that that passive is allowing him to get the attack buff, the critical rate. So considering where his stats are, he's going to be critting 100% of the time when he gets that passive. In addition to that, getting that a little additional attack power that's kind of coping with the getting that additional attack power is going to allow him, like I said, to kind of run that hybrid format, make this unit really hard to kill, but still put out some decent numbers. Take a look at that speed. When it comes to the speed and getting those additional turns, reducing this cooldown time, being able to absorb the attack power, get that additional attack bar so you can, get that quick turn right away. I really feel that this one can provide, some kind of uniqueness to it. So I'm really excited for you guys that may have not been fortunate to pull the next best live PvP unit. You can play around with this one, down the road, assuming you have the runes to go at. Now, I want to give another shout out to one of my good friends, and again, another former Educate and Dominate guest, Kazuto111. I believe he also is on the Fireless bandwagon. Of course, there's only a few people out there, but let's go ahead and see if I can find him on my list. Here we are with Kazuto111 here. Let's take a look at his setup here. Now, keep in mind, Foix was running a more of a tankier approach with regards to the HP kind of recommendation and high speed. He is running a blend of that. He's running a little bit lower speed, a little bit lower HP, but a little bit more attack power, right? And so, again, you gotta have to kind of play back and forth to see what kind of numbers you could pull, what kind of stats you could pull. But again, as you can see right now, the trend is to, if you're playing around with this unit, even if you run with that hybrid setup, making sure that you're sitting at that 70% critical rate, so that when you get those turns, regardless if it's on your turn or the enemy's turn, especially when it's on the enemy's turn and you're getting that critical rate bonus, you're making sure that you're creating all day. Again, running with that Despair Revenge set, he's running attack rate, damage, HP, because he's getting some absurd substats here on the HPs and defense. So you can see right there why this unit could be valuable. And again, we're talking about late game players. Now, I don't want to have mid game players try to break all their units of runes to see what they can do. But again, I'm thinking on that thought process of Rune Removal Day, guys. It's coming up in 2 days, and you never know, what you can do with regards to your units of rune builds unless you do some testing. Save up that money, start rolling out those runes that you guys have been saving for quite some time, so that you can essentially, build some new units that people are not expecting to get the job done. And that's the beauty of this live PvP. Wow. It may be a little slower in nature. It's definitely bringing some new units out of the woodwork because you can't duplicate the other opponent's units, right? So you really have to go out of your way to try out some new stuff and see what really works for you. So to finish off this video, I would love for you guys to hit me up for debate on, what your take is on the vampire sets when it comes to, defense versus HP and how you like to ruin those units. Maybe you're talking about you got a little Kung Fu girl and you kind of, ruin it up a certain way. In addition to that, let's get some insight on your opinions on what you think that next underrated and overlooked unit when it comes to live PvP is. I'm looking forward to hearing on your thought process of that. In addition, don't forget to put, your particular build, how you would do it, and then what kind of composition would you utilize around it, okay? So that is it, guys, for this TheoryCraft Thursday video. I hope you guys enjoyed it. If you did, go ahead and smash that like button, and I will see you guys on that next episode. It's your boy Childish with ChildishPlays checking out. Take care, and we'll see you guys next Thursday. I'm out.